paths? All right, the nucleus of extreme music has long been believed to have emerged from a place of just pure chaos, intensity, speed, and just directionless shrapnel. But let's not forget some of the mutations we've heard over the years that have felt like they've come from a place more of control and precision and delivered with an intent to give the same end result that we all know and love. Keep that in mind as I introduce to you from right here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, Price of Apathy. Gentlemen.
It's good to be here with you, Joe.
Oh, it's good to have you here.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you for
us.
being here.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
No. I appreciate you guys being here. I genuinely do.
Yeah,
Genuinely do.
we've known each other for quite a while, actually.
Yeah.
Outside the music scene, so it's cool to kind of come like full circle.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, while we're at it now, I might as well like air this. I may refer to Andrew as crew, and the reason being is because I attended Andrew's martial arts school in the past, and Andrew is a crew.
Yeah.
So if you hear me mess up and say crew sometimes, that's
we're
why.
crewing.
We miss having you. We love having you back.
I miss being there. My lower back does not.
Right.
My lower back does not.
That's true.
Yeah. You were awesome, though.
Oh,
So,
thank you. So let's start from a more recent point, and then we'll kind of walk our way back as, we see fit. So Walk Through Hell is out. It's the latest record. It feels angrier.
Yeah. Well, it definitely is angrier, and that was intentional. Just wanted to get deep within just like, those feelings that anyone has of anger or isolation or loneliness, and put that in musical form. And so it was intentional. The first record was a little more political, and this is all just a little more personal, just dealing with stuff that I've been through and getting that all out. So because it was coming from a personal place, it was definitely a lot angrier.
Yeah, it was, now that's out, looking back, I remember Andrew bringing me the songs, and just like those early rehearsals, because when we first started playing these songs, it was just me and him kind of like messing around with things and seeing how things go. And the music, I was like, dude, this is a different type of angry than I'm used to, it's hitting different than stuff we did in the past. And then I remember a couple times Andrew showing me like his lyrics notebook, and I just remember I was like, oh, let me check these out. Good God, man. Just like, it's definitely like, it's definitely deep. And I'm also glad that you got those out, because it's a good form of therapy,
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing I love about extreme music, heavy music, is it is therapeutic. And I think a lot of metalheads are like the chillest people you'll ever meet because of that. Yeah.
All right. So with that said, let's talk about the production for just a second. A lot of times bands go into the studio and try to mimic how they sound live.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear Walk Through Hell and even Thousands Die, I don't feel as though I'm listening to Price live. I don't feel as though I'm hearing automation through a computer. I feel like I'm standing right next to the mixing desk. How on or off am I with that?
Oh, you go ahead.
I would say it's pretty accurate. I mean, it's funny because we did want to sound, correct me if I'm wrong, but as raw as possible.
Yes.
I feel like, and no judgment, obviously, but sometimes I feel that some production is overdone, and I do love that raw feeling of listening to an album, and it's like, oh my God, it feels like I'm listening to them right now, right in front of me. And also, we really wanted to dumb down the production a little bit and just kind of, I don't know, the phrase like punch you in the face, if that makes
the
sense.
wall of sound. Like when we record both on Thousands and on this record, we didn't use a click track or anything, and we just went in and did it all three together, just live. Like, does that take good? All right. Yeah, it's good. This time, because of scheduling, we did have to, like, sometimes it was just me and him, and then Anthony would come in and do the bass later. But yeah, we never put anything to a click track. We just did it. Yeah. And because we wanted that feeling of live music, you know, and just and on the angrier sound, and you said it doesn't sound like Price live. When we first started, Sebastian was going to be the second guitar player.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's hard to picture because I have you so locked in on drums.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we just had a really hard time finding a drummer that fit. And so eventually we were just like, all right, screw it, you be the drummer. And then we were looking for another guitar player, and it got to the point where we were just so tight as a three-piece that it felt weird to bring anyone else in. So if you listen to Thousands, all that was written with a second guitar in mind for the harmonies and some of the melodies in it. And we just live, you were missing some of that sound in it because really to get the full sound, we should have two other guitar players. And so knowing that now, it's like, okay, we are an established three-piece. For this next album, let's create a sound that really fits live even better than the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where that wall of sound came in. That's where the anger came in, because we wrote from a position of a three-piece instead of a four-piece, which we were trying to do.
Yeah.
See, so now that you say that, I guess I probably should have made the distinction when we use the word live. I was looking at it because now I agree with you. I absolutely agree that, yeah, it sounds like live rehearsed, not, drums right now, bass, punch in, that type of thing. I think I was looking at it more in terms of for live, at a venue or something. But that's a good segue to the next question. So I know in real life Price of Apathy. I know live Price of Apathy, but I don't know studio Price of Apathy. And with this record having been personal, with it having been, really cut with a lot of intention, is the feeling that I'm getting. What I'd like to know is, either consciously or unconsciously, when you were in there recording, besides worrying about hitting the wrong note and having to re-record or something like that, common stuff, was it cathartic laying down those tracks?
Oh yeah, it felt really good too. We love being in the studio, and sometimes we'll just go, you know what, let's try something a little different, and just experimenting. And this album was a lot of experimentation.
Wow.
We experimented with different drums. We have strings on there. There's classical guitar on there.
That goes through eternity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Walk Through Hell, the title track, also has that interlude with it's a 3-layered guitar classical section. And so it was let's go in and experiment.
Yeah. I mean, and also coming from a personal view, playing those songs with kind of knowing what he was going through when he wrote those lyrics, it does piss you off a little bit. It really does, because you're this is some deep stuff, and it also, I will say, it takes a lot of courage to write about deeply personal things, and and then when you get to start performing them, not only in the studio but then live, it's God,
Yeah.
it really is therapy, like I said before. And also, going back to the studio in particular, I just remember being there and I'm like, dude, it's really coming together, because
we felt it was special.
It was really special. It felt like it felt like a turning point for the band, not only musically but personally, growing as people, and of course as musicians. But it did feel really cathartic to get that stuff out. And
I will say the biggest part of it was vocally. When I was in there in the booth doing the vocals, we tuned lower on this record than we had on the previous one. And so I would go, I should get my voice lower. I want to be deeper in the growl and angrier in the vocal performance too.
First track right out of the gate. It's the lowest I've never heard you go that low before.
Yeah. And that took a couple of takes, because we would listen back to it and I was like, I think I can go lower than that. Let's do it again. So it was, going lower, going angrier on the vocal performance was really, that cathartic.
Wow.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a less overall, it feels less melodic than Thousands Die. But if there was any space where you made up for all that, kind of feels like the title track, the chorus of the title track, really kind of has it doesn't sound like a ton of other stuff on the album, just a chorus though,
Yeah.
and I heard that and I was like, oh wow, maybe that's they concentrated it all, most of it in one spot, because there are other songs with melody and everything. I think maybe talk about Hate Me.
So Hate Me, well, the overall album is you're going through this rough time, this personal journey, but there is like an uplifting message. So like Walk Through Hell, Become the Darkness, these songs, it's like you have to go in The Gift of Pain, really. It's like you go through a tough time and you come out of it in a better place, and Hate Me is just you going, you can't please everyone, and if you want to hate me, and that album, we did a lot of drum layering on that, and for whatever reason, we went to a music store and we saw these weird different types of drums. We were like, I don't know what we're gonna do with that, but let's buy it and do something with it.
Cool. Yeah.
And I always loved like different like polyrhythms and stuff like that, and I always wanted to incorporate that into our music, and we never did. So that album was written for, let's have like weird drums in there and different polyrhythms and everything. And that journey, Walk Through Hell, it's like the first track on the album, there's like this Arabic melody on it, then it goes into like some African rhythms, and then it goes into, with Walk Through Hell, there's like a classical piece, and I wanted to show that it was like a journey, Walk Through Hell, around like the world almost, different musical influences from the globe.
Yeah, and I will say, this was a huge part. This was a huge growing area in my drumming too. Not just from writing the parts, but we were also listening to a lot of different bands in our personal lives too. So I think a lot of those influences started to bleed over while we were writing the album. So, and I think Hate Me is a really good example of that, because it starts off with
Yeah.
and I don't know, I just was having so much fun writing drum parts with him, and he was so encouraging about being like, dude, do something crazy there. And I'm like, yeah, let me do something crazy there, because I don't know, like Thousands was so much kind of straight thrashy forward, and also we did have more time in a way to kind of think about what we wanted to do with arrangements and writing specific drum parts. So I had a lot of fun with Hate Me in particular, kind of grooving and playing those Tommy, kind of polyrhythm parts and just a lot of crazy stuff. So
yeah, on the first album, like I said, he was originally going to be the guitar player, and he lives in Richmond, and so it'd just be me and Anthony, the bass player who's not here today, but we would just write riffs and then we send it to him and say, can you drum over this? And then he would. We never really sat down and like really wrote the drums together with the guitar.
Oh, okay.
It was just like he would come up with it at home and then we'd play together.
Yeah.
Whereas with this one, it would just be me and him figuring out what to do with the drums with the riff. And I was very encouraged. It was like, again, make it sound angrier. Let's go angrier with it.
And another thing is like, it was more trial and error. And I think with Thousands, we were so excited to actually have drums on songs that we were like, oh, that's good. It's really good.
That's good.
And then like, it was fine. And then for this album, it was kind of like, that is cool, but let's try something else with it. Like, let's just mess around. So it was really fun to kind of just mess around and kind of come up with things and kind of improvise. Cause with Thousands, I would just come in cold. I mean, I didn't even have a drum set in Richmond, so I would be drumming in my head. I mean, playing on you know, the only thing I had was a practice pad. So I would just be like, let's hope they like it. And thankfully it worked out fine. But I'm really glad we had more time to write these parts. So
See, it's like, I guess this has to do with people's individual interpretation of things, because you said before Thousands seemed a lot more straightforward, and Walk Through Hell seems more experimental. I saw it the opposite. And again, that's maybe just my brain, the way it's processing things, but I felt like on Thousands there was, here's the only way I can illustrate this, right? If somebody's skiing down a mountain, Thousands Die is a lot of this.
Yeah.
And Walk Through Hell is straight, what do they call it? Slalom when you go like that, or something like that. It's straight, just like down, looking to reach the end point and everything. And I think Thousands is a fantastic record. I mean, it has a lot of songs that you can't get them out of your head when you hear.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But it's a different experience, I think, on Walk Through Hell because, like I said, it feels like you were on a mission, and it was to get a message across and to get things out. So it's just crazy to hear, you talk about.
Well, I on Thousands, I feel like I was writing from a place of, it was the way when we formed the band. I was driving, and I kept like switching between like Slayer on the radio and like In Flames and Dark, and I was just like, man, I wish there was a band that was like part thrash and like melodic death metal. And that was like a light bulb moment, and I was like,
wow.
I was like, hey, do you want to form a band and do this? And so that's why it was so, as you say, weavy, because it was like trying to merge two styles together.
Okay.
And the other thing, like, I get what you mean though, because Walk Through Hell is straightforward, more straightforward in a lot of ways. Definitely with riffage, kind of less melodic, progressive elements in a way. If you would agree with that.
Oh yeah,
It's definitely more riff punch you in the face based in that way. So I totally get what you.
So whereas like Thousands, it was like written with this mission of fusing these styles together, whereas Walk Through Hell was written with like a mission statement. I'm going to get this out, and I wanted to write not from an intellectual place, but from the gut and the heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at times you were just kind of letting your gut guide, and maybe not second guessing or trying to think about too much. It was just sort of like a, what do they call it, stream of conscious type of thing.
Sometimes I've just wrote, some of those songs on the album were written in just one session, where it's like, what is naturally coming next, and that's how I felt. So and it is more riff based, because again, we're writing from let's be a 3-piece, but I think what we lost in melody we gained with like groove. There's some progression, like the prog elements with weird time signatures, and we do still have that thrashy, really fast elements to it too.
But it's like it seems like it's a modern thrash. There's really nothing retro about it, and there's doesn't seem like there's anything. How can I put this? You guys don't seem to be very, very heavily influenced or swayed by. It's like, look, death thrash is not the sexy sound right now and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not. It's. And I don't mean this in a bad way, because I have a ton of slam bands that come here, and I love all of them. But right now, slam is kind of it. Death thrash, on the other hand, is more to the underground. And have you guys ever at any point thought, like, what, let's I don't know, incorporate some pinch harmonics in there, let's do some.
Well, I'll say for me, and you can tell me to stop being like no, I'm not trying to be a hater. It's just like we love writing like what we like hearing, and it's no like slam against like the more modern, like hardcore, because that stuff can be, like, is really cool. But we're so into, like, I don't know, I'm always listening to Sepultura and Death and
Yeah.
like and Dark Tranquillity, In Flames, Insomnium,
And those old
Slayer,
thrash
Megadeth, the old,
bands.
Testament. And I don't know, maybe I'm just stuck in the past, but I just I don't know, there's something about that music that I just constantly geek out. Like I constantly hyperfixate on albums like that.
Mhm.
Like Death Human, for example, like I don't know. I've hyperfixated on that album for like 2 years at a time, and I'm not tired from it. And I think it's just from what we both listen to, it's naturally coming out more and
Mhm.
more in our sound as we progress. So
Yeah. I mean, that we gravitate towards older bands, and we don't want to fake who we are. It's like, well, this is really popular right now, so let's do that, because it wouldn't be sincere. And but there's a lot of people that love that underground death music, and that's who we want to appeal to.
I got kind of like, if I had to compare it to anybody today, I don't know if you guys listen to Bolt Thrower at all at any point. I really thought the new album reminded me of Bolt Thrower, like, the
cool.
For Victory album and stuff. But no, I didn't know what to expect when it came out. Really, I thought it was going to be a continuation of Thousands Die, and it was just, I was really taken aback by it because it was just, to me, it was noticeably darker. And, like I said, I know you guys in real life. You don't look or seem like what the album sounds like. You know what I mean? So it was surprising. I mean, even if the album was some sort of combat sport, I don't even know if it would be Muay Thai. It would just be like a pummeling, a bar. I don't know.
Yeah, that's an awesome way to put it. Yeah,
should I put on my glasses?
I'm kidding. Yeah,
I'm kidding.
We constantly get that. They're like, "You're in a metal band," like, and then when they hear me sing, they're like, "That's you?"
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see that happening.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it seems so far we've gotten a lot of it is way different, but we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of people have really said great things about it. And you said that you really loved the album, and so it's like, all right, cool, we're onto something here. Yeah.
Track 2. I forget the title.
The Hate Me was track 2.
Hate Me is track 2. Ultimately, what I'm getting at are your vocals. Okay,
Yeah.
they sound pretty blackened. They remind me of like early Dark Throne. I guess, yeah, like their first couple Dark Throne records, Nocturnal Culto, were like it's an unsettling kind of growl. It's different than the common Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse or something like that. You really do sound like you're in agony at certain points.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's what I was going for.
Yeah. Talk about that. Talk about like your approach to the vocals, and I mean, were we trying to? Yeah, just talk about your vocals.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying for. Again, Thousand Sigh, we were actually running out of time too on Thousand Sigh, because we kind of spent a lot of time recording, and then like the vocals were like the last day, and I didn't have like a lot of time. I had to go back, but if you remember that.
Yeah.
And I feel like because we had taken so long with everything else, I feel like I didn't really take a long time with that. It was just like, oh, that's good. Whereas this one, like, I did a lot of different takes to get it to sound the way I wanted. And what I wanted was, I wanted it to sound angry. I don't know, very distorted, very angry and harsh, like it was like someone getting something out. And so I would go back, I would listen to it, and I go, it just doesn't sound raw and angry enough.
Wow.
Yeah,
really?
Let's do it again. And I would leave the studio with my voice all hoarse and rough. I'm like, all right, we got it.
Yeah. I remember being in the studio and listening to him throwing down tracks. I was like, my God, is that even Andrew singing? Because it was just not what I was used to. It was way different than anything I was ever used to hearing you do. So, and also when I did hear you start to record vocals and get even darker and lower and literally sound like you were in hell, I was like, yeah, we're definitely taking a different approach to it. And I'm really digging it. So yeah.
So you talked about some of the interludes and some of the different world influences that you brought in. There's African. I think you said there's East Indian as well.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the thought process? And the last final track is like strings. It's like an orchestral like instrumentation. What was the decision to put that last? Like why like the strings and the orchestral?
I felt it was a good ending because like the whole album is just very angry, and that last bit sounded like, I don't know, it's like coming back. It's like sad, but also like hopeful too, in a way. So I thought that was the best way to end it, and that was
okay. No, sorry.
yeah, and the title of it, the end of the beginning. So it's like, all right, what I went through, or anyone goes through, whatever tough time you're going through, there's an end, and a new beginning. And so I thought it was kind of leaving on a hopeful message, and that was just me noodling around on the piano, and I thought I came up with something pretty cool, and I was like, hey, let's do this with strings. Yeah.
Oh man, okay. Yeah, I took it as a victory.
Yeah.
Like you said, like hopeful and everything, but I went beyond that. I said, oh, all right, you know what? He's made it out of hell. He's gotten out of the ninth circle, or however many in like Dante's and stuff. And I took that as like that's a celebration. He's walking. The orchestra is behind him, and they're congratulating him, like that type of thing.
I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I always thought of it. Sometimes I come up with different things in my head all the time, so it's always different. But one thing I came up with, I was like, it's like you're just like crashing out. It's like you're home alone and you're really mad about something, and you're yelling, and you're having a meltdown, and then when the meltdown is over, you're like, all right, I am good. That's okay. I mean, I got it out, and that's kind of what I feel like that last song is. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. See, that's so cool, because that's so different from like what I just said, and it's different from what Andrew just said, But I know that there's other people that have that sort of reaction too. I'm just thinking about it. Like there's the I Hate God song, Anxiety Hangover. It's that kind of like. And I guess if I can share this, I had a similar reaction just last night here in the studio, because there was a band that came in, this band Delusion, and recorded everything went well, and I go to take the card out of that camera and there's no card in there. I'm like, it was like the worst. It was like I like melted down and everything. So I'm hitting ChatGPT. I'm like, is there like an internal kind of memory or something like that? It's like, no, that's everything. But then I found out it was just like, I didn't have my reading glasses on. I was touching the wrong place, and the card was in there, But like the way you were describing that, I was like, oh man, I had a kind of like meltdown like that afterward. And then, during the happy ending, it was, I sat right down here in this thing. It's like, I love this, because I feel like this is like, here's me relating to the music, like in real time and everything. And I think that's just, it's terrific. It speaks to me, maybe a bit more than is comfortable, but that's pretty, you guys really accomplished something heavy, literally and figuratively, with Walk Through Hell. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I love hearing, and I know you do too, but I love hearing when someone can say, like, oh, I relate to this, and I'm glad someone else is writing about, or if someone does say, like, I'm glad someone else is writing about their experience, and I can kind of maybe cry or scream along with them, that always makes us feel good to hear that they could relate to lyrics, or, I mean, that maybe they were going through something similar, walking through their own hell, and then kind of the album maybe helping them with that. So I mean, it makes us happy.
With Thousands, every track was written, and we had been performing them, for a while before we ever recorded that album. But with this one, we originally walked in with 4 songs. We're just going to do an EP. And then I kept writing, and then it was like, all right, let's do 2 more songs. and then it was 2 more songs. Yeah. So we just kept going back in the studio until we got 12. And like something like the last track was, just playing around on the piano until I was like, you know what, that sounds really cool. And I think that's a cool way to end the album. So let's put that on there. Yeah.
Another reason why I like that end track is because it reminds me of the album called Alex by the Derek Green fronted Sepultura. It's a different band, but I like them. If you ever have a chance to check out,
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, the Dante album is very good. Alex, it's like a concept album centered around Clockwork Orange. And then the Kairos album is really good too, but it had Alex had a lot of like orchestral stuff in it as well, and I was like, oh shit, that I picked that up, and I was like, because I knew you guys are Sepultura fans, but mostly Max though.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I do know the Dante album.
Oh yeah,
I have listened to that. It is good, but yeah, just for me, there's nothing like old Sepultura.
Sure, okay.
Yeah. But
speaking of Sepultura, I will say what I said earlier about like a bunch of listening to different music coming in to the music. Like I think Roots by Sepultura, their 96 album really came out a little bit. I was just really inspired by the drumming stuff that that was going on in that album, and it really inspired us, I think, to go in a different way on that album, kind of really tribal and just going crazy.
Well, because you are, I think, a jazz drummer is it not jazz?
I'm a little all over the place, and I'm an orchestral trumpet player full time in Richmond, and I do play jazz trumpet too, but jazz is a big influence of mine too. So but it's funny. It's like metal is the only thing I do on drums. So it's like a lot of
mostly plays trumpet.
Yeah, that's what I do full time in Richmond. So
see, I was convinced that you were taught and versed in other styles besides like metal and drums, because I mean a lot of your songs, just like you're talking about, you have tribal elements, polyrhythm, probably stuff that I don't, I can't identify it. It just sounds like drums to me, but it's not just blasting and stuff like that. So I was convinced that your background was like you're like classically trained or something like that.
Well, I am classically trained.
Just another instrument,
just another trumpet. But it's really funny because, I think that's one of the reasons why I was so gravitated toward melodic death metal, like growing up. And I remember him like showing me In Flames and Dark Tranquility and Dark Throne and all those stuff.
And At the Gates,
like being so attracted to the classical element that melodic death metal and like European death metal has. So.
And because we weren't going melodic with this album, the riffs, they had to carry the song. And like I said, we focused a little more on groove and prog on some tracks and speed, but I tried to have the riffs be catchy, heavy, but also like something that can maybe get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
And maybe like that, the hook is the riff,
So it was the difference then, if I'm interpreting that correctly, it seems like the difference in if we're talking about riffs and having them be memorable, it seems like we're on Walk Through Hell, the riffs consist of more power chords versus on Thousands, what do you call it when you're like riffing on just like a single string, like intricate notes or something, or
riffing on that kind of
the tremolo.
Oh, tremolo. Yeah. Okay.
That
yeah.
thrashy sound,
that,
right?
That kind
right.
of like tremolo thing, because it seems like the memorable stuff, the hooks come more from power chords on Walk Through Hell versus the kind of like like Malefic for example. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that you got the you're just playing like just strings there versus like bar chords and stuff for a lot of
Right.
those hooks.
Well, yeah, because we had done that so much on the other one, we wanted to take it in a different direction, and on this one, and this album actually has 3 different tunings. Because actually, one thing that also inspired us on this album that we didn't talk about is nu metal.
Really?
Yeah.
You're lying right now.
No.
I never in a million years would have thought. It doesn't sound nu metal to me at all.
No, not at all. But I know nu metal gets a lot of hate, but I love some nu metal bands, and one thing I've always loved about them is their rhythm section, their groove on some of them, and so we were listening to like Korn and like Slipknot and stuff, and just how they have that groove element. And one thing a lot of those bands do is they detune everything. So we had full power chords on some of them, but some of the songs were detunes. Like Scavenger, the opening track, because we detuned, it was allowed us to make these riffs that were really fast, chord based.
So are you like, okay, on Scavenger, for example, and with it being detuned like that, so does that mean you're still playing bar chords though, or am I hearing just like a low E?
Yeah, you just put your finger there and it's making a chord, as opposed to like the traditional power chord.
It's like
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely a little more convenient to like do those faster runs and stuff.
But because of that, we were able to do fast runs heavy,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like Scavenger, I think, that was a good opening track because it's like hits you immediately. But it just allowed us to a little more freedom and stuff.
So you guys got some shows coming up, including one at Bum Rush on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday, yeah.
And then we're gonna play there again March 1st.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'll at least be there on Sunday.
Awesome.
And I guess I got no reason not to be there on like March 1st.
Let's go. Thanks,
Right.
man. Yeah, we're really excited. We're doing all new songs from the new album, and it's also just been so. After playing the songs from Thousands for like 3 years straight, we need to break up with those songs for a little bit.
Yeah,
and
it's been refreshing to play different material.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're just playing all new songs from the new album.
Yeah.
We're really excited.
And we did like in August we did a show where it was all basically the new stuff, and the crowd went crazy with it. So it seemed like they really enjoyed it. So
was that the show that was made into like a pretty nice looking production?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah,
Where was that at?
Adventure Brewing.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
whoever did that, they did a terrific job. It looked gorgeous.
That is a student of mine named John Tukowski. He did that video, so I'll give him a shout out.
Shout out,
Oh,
John.
cool.
Yeah,
He did a great. It looks so cool. I loved it. It was so cool.
Yeah. It looked no different than some sort of like real professional grade production and everything. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, he was just like, "Hey, I have an idea. I got this nice camera. I'm gonna film you guys and give you a promo." I was like, "Okay, great." So as we're playing, he was like down in here and coming. Yeah. So he did a great job. So if anyone wants a good professionally done video, that's a band. Reach out to him.
You got to do it well.
Yeah.
I'm up.
Yeah.
Well, we covered a lot here, more than I had expected, and you volunteered a lot of information too that I didn't know if it would come out or not.
Yeah.
I was hoping that it was there, but you were really gracious enough to share it, and so for that, I'm very thankful. If somebody hears Price of Apathy, say, a year from now for the first time, what do you want them to feel? What do you hope they take from it?
I need to think about what I want to say.
Got to turn on the brain for this one. I don't know. I mean, honestly, at the very least, I just hope they enjoy listening to it, and it's something that I don't know. I guess I hope they have fun listening to it. I mean, we have a lot of like, I will say, like, pain goes in the writing that material, and a lot of anger, of course. But I mean, now that we've graduated therapy from recording it, it's a lot of fun listening to that stuff now. Like, I have a lot of fun listening and playing our music now. And I hope people have fun listening to our music and get something out of it,
I hope someone listens to it and goes, wow, this really speaks to me. Like, I don't know how, maybe, but it just really speaks to me. And I want to be like one of the bands where it's like, if a kid is discovering for the first time, it goes, wow, these guys. I want to sound like these guys. That's what I hope.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, if it means anything, there's at least one person who heard it and was like, yeah, damn, this means something to me too. So.
Well, that means
awesome.
a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that makes me happy.
Yep.
At all.
I'm sure I'm not the only one now.
No, I appreciate that though. I mean, we just like having fun and playing music, good music.
We've gotten a couple of messages from people that they told us what tracks they really like, but everyone was just like, "Oh, dude, I'm digging this album. I really love this track and this track," and pretty much everyone has been on board and said, I like this even better than the first album. So hopefully that means we got a new sound that's people are digging, and we'll keep on with it.
But you know what was cool though? I know we're kind of like getting at the end here, but what I thought was really cool is, yes, Walk is different from Thousands, but it's not like you guys did like like the first couple Carcass records or grindcore, and then after that they kind of started to sound like more like you guys and everything, like more. I hate using the word melodic with some bands, but they became like a little bit more melodic. But you didn't do a complete 180 like that. It's not like you put out a hardcore record all of a sudden,
right?
So what's the future hold? What are the plans, either recording or live?
We definitely want to do a lot more live shows, especially this year, and hopefully do some little tours. We've never actually did a tour, and it's largely just because of our schedules just being hard to coordinate. So we definitely want to do that. I'm always writing, so I already have songs that I'm like, oh, this is definitely going on the next record, and so
this guy is constantly I mean, every time I talk to him on the phone, he's like, dude, I got to show you some new stuff, and I'm like, hell yeah, we were just in the studio last week. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go back.
Yeah. I mean, I love it because not only do I think he's like an amazing like composer and writer, but also I like hearing new music in general. So I'm always down to be like, dude, hell yeah, dude, I want to hear your new songs, of course,
And I don't think that we're necessarily going to be, I don't know, cornered into an area. If something sounds like clean vocals might work there or something, we'll put clean vocals in a song. We haven't done it yet, but maybe one day you'll hear some clean vocals on a Price of Apathy record. So, yeah.
And why not?
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
And why not? Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to finish off with?
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a blast.
Again, no. The honor's mine. The honor's mine.
Thanks,
So,
man.
all right. Well, I admittedly have to work on refining my ending. Right, because I used to always say like, if you like the video, maybe you can give it a thumbs up. Something else about like subscribe, but I'm not about that though. I'm not about trying to, subscriptions and stuff like that. This to me is about This to me is it's about the bands, is the bands and less about trying to be like a personality or something like that. So I just. Yeah. Hey, thanks a lot. Praise of Apathy from Fredericksburg, Virginia. And why not?